Hello Stampers! Today I've got a Beachy card for you today, and I'm using the Season of Chic stamp set and dies today. And this stamp set is wonderful because it'll take you completely through the entire year. It's got flowers, seashells, snowflakes, leaves for the fall. So it has pretty much everything in it. It's a great set to have just for everyday use. And then I'm using the Chic Dies, and these coordinate with the stamps. And one of the really fun dies is this one right here, and it makes like this piece here. It's like netting, and it's perfect for your beach cards. So I really love that. And then I also use the seashell die today too. So we're going to start with this card, and I'm just going to take you step by step through it. All the dimensions for the card are down below this video. You can just click show more and you'll see them there, along with all the links to the products that'll take you to my online store where you can pick those up. I think we're just going to start with the embellishments first, like all the die cuts and such. And I just have a piece of scrap basic white here, and I'm going to stamp our seashells. And you just need 2 for this card, and this has 2 different seashell stamps. We're going to start with our one it's solid, and then it just has a few little swirls at the top. And I'm going to use Crumb Cake ink for this, and I'm going to stamp this, and we just need 2. And then I'm going to bring out Early Espresso ink. And this is a nice bold color that's perfect for these little, this stamp here with the seashells has like the stripes that go down in it, like the veins. So we're just going to overstamp the stamp we just did with that. See how nice and bold that is. And I thought I'd just do bold seashells today. I thought that was just a lot of fun to do. Now I die cut these out. And I use this seashell die here in the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So there we have those stamped. And they're almost ready to go. I just wanted to put some color on them. So I'm bringing in some Orchid Oasis for one of them, and I'm going to use a blending brush for this. And I'm using colors that I have in my background here, like I have the Orchid Oasis in the top of the sky and in the top of the water, and I just thought it'd be nice to bring in some bold colors on these seashells. So one of them I'm just going to take and put that purple at the very top of this seashell. So there's that one. And then for the other one, I'm going to use the Tahitian Tide. That is my other water and sky color that I've used. So I'm just going to add those to that. I just love this Tahitian Tide. It's so bright and cheerful. So there is our Tahitian Tide shell. And I'm just going to set those aside. And then I die cut that netting die using the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I did this out of Very Vanilla. I just wanted it not to be so stark white, so I used Very Vanilla for that. And then I'm going to use Early Espresso in a blending brush. And I'm just going to add some of that around the edge of this. And I'm just going to do it on the right side and along the bottom there. Just add a little of that, a little different color, just to distress it a bit. So that was Early Espresso. Okay, so we have those 2 pieces. And then out of Early Espresso cardstock, I punched this bow punch. So I just used this piece here. So we have that out of Early Espresso. That's just a little bit of foliage for this. Okay, so we have those done, and we're just going to set those aside. Now it's time for our main panel here, and I'm going to start with that crumb cake for our sand area. And instead of using a blender brush, you certainly can, but I'm just going to draw this across here, just for our sand area. And I just use my pad. I use this side here, and I just drew it across and I have my ink pad tilted at an angle, just for a little direct to paper there. But you can sponge it, you can use your blender brush, whatever you feel. I just think it's just so easy just to bring that pad across. I'm going to do the same thing with Tahitian Tide, just for our sky and water area here. And I'm going to bring this down into the sandy area just a little. And there we go. So there is our sky area. Now I need a horizon line. So I'm going to take this Orchid Oasis and a post-it note. I have a large post-it note here, but this panel here is 3 by 5, so you certainly can use a 3 by 3 post-it note to create this horizon line with. Now I'm going to turn this upside down, and I'm going to add this post-it note, and I'm going to line it up against one side of my cardstock, and that gives me a nice straight horizon line here. So that's just a little trick. And I'm going to use this Orchid Oasis and my blending brush, and I'm just going to go back and forth here along that post-it note edge and onto the cardstock, adding some of that purple. I'm doing about a ½ inch of that purple, but I have it darker at the top, and then I kind of fade it out into it. So that is our horizon line. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so now I just want a little bit of that Orchid Oasis at the top of the panel too, in the sky area. I always like to put the same colors in my sky as I put in my water, because the water is really clear and it's just reflecting the colors of your sky. So there is my Orchid Oasis at the top. And now I'm going to bring that crumb cake back. And there's this little stamp here that just has some little dashes and dots on it. And you can use it for your edge of your water, or I'm going to use it in my sandy area. And I'm going to just load my stamp with crumb cake and then stamp it just a few times each time, just to get a variation in color, just to add a little something in the sand. And then you can also take it and add a little bit with Tahitian Tide up there in the top of your water here where it hits the sand. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that in there. There we go. And that makes it look like your water is flowing over the sand, and so you have some blue areas there. Okay, so that is pretty much our background. How easy was that? So now we're going to start putting this together. And I have an early Espresso card base here. And this card base is 5.5 by 8.5, and then I folded it in half to create a quarter card. On the outside here, I have an Orchid Oasis panel that's 4 by 5.25, and I put the same size panel in here, so I have an Orchid Oasis panel in here. It's 4 by 5.25. Then I have a crumb cake panel that's 3 3/4 by 5. So that is the outside of our card, and then we're going to add our little scene here to the front, and we're going to do it over to the right. I'm just going to use some multi-purpose glue, but you use whatever adhesive you like. And I'm just kind of centering this over here on the right side, so I have the equal amount at the top, the right side, and the bottom. And then you have this space here at the side. And on that space on the side, I'm going to add a crumb cake strip that's a 1/2 inch by 5 1/4. And that fits perfectly there. So we're going to add that in just for a little interest. I love repeating colors that are in my scene, in my panels. So there's that. And now it's time to add our elements that we die cut and such. And with this, I'm just going to take some multi-purpose glue here and really lightly just add some here and there. I just kind of go back and forth across it, just lightly adding some. And I kind of like it loose on my card, the edges. So I don't glue the edges all the way down. That way they curl up a bit. It's a little more interesting that way. So then I'm going to add my shell that has the Tahitian tide on it. I'm going to kind of add it at an angle here. And then I'm going to just put some adhesive on the back of the stem of this bow punch. And just add it in here. There we go. And then for this one with the Orchid Oasis on this, the seashell, I'm just going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals on that. Just to pop it up a bit. Gives it a little more interest to your scene. So I have that already. I'm going to angle this a different direction here and cover up the bottom of that stem. So there is our dies on there. And now I just want to add just a couple of these brush metallic adhesive dots to our scene here. I'm just going to use the point of my scissors here to put some on. And I'm just going to add one here. One at the top, and I'm going to center one like right in between those two. And there is your card for today. I hope you enjoyed this project. I did keep in mind that the sky is very blank. You could stamp some birds up there, or you could stamp your sentiment up here. There's plenty of room for a sentiment on the front of it. I'm not sure what I'm going to use mine for yet, so I'm just leaving mine blank. But there is our card for the day. I hope you enjoy it and you give it a try. Thanks for joining me. Toodles!